The Biden-Harris campaign hiring new pollsters now, according to Politico.
And in a few hours, Vice President Kamala Harris will campaign in North Carolina in her 4th visit to the state this year.
Mark Meredith is live on the north lawn of the White House, where it's a much drier day than it was yesterday. Mark, good morning.
Steve, Ainsley, Brian, Lawrence, good morning. It is much drier, but we don't have a chair here, so we're already losing compared to you guys. Good morning, friends. As we've heard many times, President Biden repeatedly says that the press is not highlighting the right polls, that he believes that they only highlight the polls which show him trailing former President Trump. And Politico now reports that the Biden campaign is staffing up to try to understand this polling better. This is the poll the Wall Street Journal had, which showed the former president beating President Biden in 6 of 7 swing states. The Biden campaign telling Politico it's staffing up now because it's building infrastructure to put us on a path to victory this fall, and bringing together a battle-tested world-class data and polling operation is an essential step. Now, the president's going to be heading to a battleground state. He's going to Wisconsin next week to talk about the economy, and one of his most high-profile surrogates, First Lady Jill Biden, told CBS she thinks his path to re-election is set.
No, he's not losing in all the battleground states. He's coming up, and he's even or doing better. So, you know what? Once people start to focus in and they see their two choices, it's obvious that Joe will win this election.
Today, Vice President Kamala Harris, she'll be in North Carolina as state Democrats lost in 2016 and 2020. The Biden campaign reportedly is set to open at least 10 offices across the Tar Heel state. And so much of the focus the last couple of days has been on the fundraising campaign effort. This weekend, former President Trump will be hosting a big fundraiser down at Mar-a-Lago. Chairs for that event expected to cost quite a bit of money. They're expecting to rake in something close to like $40 million for that event this weekend. But Democrats still have that cash advantage. So we're seeing the Republicans try to play catch up at this point. Steve, Ainsley, Brian, and Lawrence, back to you guys.
I like the way you ended that. You were talking about chairs at that event. Usually they're described as plates, dinner plates.
Yeah, well, I'm the one serving usually, so I don't get to have a chance to sit down and enjoy.
Listen to you.
All right. Thanks, Mark. So what about these new pollsters? Celinda Lake is going to be one of them, Jeffrey Pollack, Molly Murphy. They are just coming in with new ideas. And the question is, they're going to do polls, and they got to come up with a strategy to start winning people over. And one of the big problems is a lot of the groups the president was dominating in, with the black vote, with the under 30s, Hispanic vote, not say dominant Hispanic, but had the majority. He's sucking wind on all of them.
They're doing this thing that they did in 2016, again, where they're shaming voters, saying, oh, it's just an obvious
pick. Talking about Jill's comment?
Yeah, it's such an obvious pick. And I think, you know, you can hire all the pollsters, but if you're shaming voters, then they're not going to be honest with you. And I think that's what happened in 2016, Ainsley. There was a silent Trump voter, people that didn't feel comfortable going on the record and saying, hey, I'm supporting candidate Donald Trump, because they were shamed.
Well, you have to reach a threshold in order to be considered legitimate if you're a pollster, or if you run a poll like Ipsos or a Gallup poll or Real Clear Politics, which is an average of all the polls. I'm curious, or Fox News, that's right. But I'm curious, like, does this mean Donald Trump can hire his own pollsters and put out his own polls?
He does.
Will they be?
He just hired.
Okay, will they be considered polls, legitimate polls that will be included in Real Clear Politics?
No, because those pollsters do polls for the campaign.
Just for the campaign.
That we never see. What's interesting about this is what they're doing is, because the Democrats won big in the midterm elections in 2022, essentially they're bringing in all these pollsters who polled the audience back in 2022 when the Democrats won, and they said, okay, what messages did you do in your races all across the country that resonated with the audience, and why did you win? So essentially, a couple of the pollsters were the people behind Joe Biden now talking about MAGA Republicans. They think that that is very effective. Some of the pollsters specialize in black and Latino voters. So what they're doing is they're bringing them on board as part of the big data operation to figure out, in 2024, what are the messages that we can say to get you to vote for Joe Biden?
How interesting that they're doing this now. What a degree of panic. And that's what all plays into why President Obama evidently was calling, saying, what are you guys doing? You're not building out your machine. Where is your staff? He was concerned, and that's why he was going right to the chief of staff, because one thing President Obama knows how to do, he knows how to win election, he knows how to mobilize. So just to get into detail, In the Wall Street Journal poll yesterday, the president had 91% of the black vote. Now he's got 68. He had 63% of the Hispanic vote. Now he's got 48. For voters under 30, he had 61. Now he's got 50. So if I don't have to be a pollster to know, that's where I should be focusing.
Brian, to your point, I'm sorry, Ainsley.
No, I was going to just ask you a question.
No, Brian made the point about Barack Obama being able to mobilize. Well, that was a campaign that was built around the candidate.
You worked on that, didn't you?
I did back when I was 15 years old. It was my first political campaign. It was built around the guy. The problem with Joe Biden, and this is the struggle, is you can't build a campaign around him because, first of all, he has nothing to run on that is going to attract voters. And number two, he can't be as president. He's not that alert guy. And this is a change because Joe Biden used to be the guy that could, fire up a crowd. He's not that guy anymore.
Why do you think, Lawrence, that when you hear those statistics, Barack Obama got, what, 99% you said of the black vote?
Well, I mean, in 2020, Joe Biden. Those numbers, Joe Biden got that 91.
What is it now, 68?
Yep.
68%.
Well, I think it's two issues. It's the economy, which black folks flourish under the Donald Trump economy. Personality aside, people care about the money. The number two, and we've done a lot of coverage on this, is what's happening with the migrants. American citizens, forget black America, American citizens don't like outsiders being able to come into the country illegally and get benefits when they're struggling. And I just think it's a bad message. Also, the religious stuff as well, Ainsley. Yeah. When you got the president with the pro-trans message, whatever you want to call it, on Easter Sunday, I mean, how are you going to go to a black church now after you did something like this, when you just bashed the #1 holiday for the believers there? I don't understand how any pastor can stand next to him in a traditional Christian church after he does it.
He didn't know he did it.
Right. He said,
he signed it. That auto pen must have been working overtime.
So true.
One of the other things the pollsters are going to work on is, and we were all in these chairs. You were in a different chair at that point, but
I got into the chair late.
Your chair back in those days worked very well. In 2016, 2020, the pollsters, notoriously were inaccurate. They got 2016 wrong. They got 2020 wrong. So what they're doing is now they're mobilizing this gigantic big data operation in Wilmington, Delaware, to try to figure out, okay, exactly what works and what doesn't.
I think they would say they got 2020 right? Wouldn't you say Democrats felt as though they got it right? Did anyone have Donald Trump winning before the election? I thought it was very close, but...
It was close, but as it turns out, with the exit polling and the audience participation stuff that Fox and others did, it was like, okay, we didn't see that coming. Yeah. I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.